I think it's safe to say after Pierce Brosnan's dying the other day, the James Bond franchise was in some need of CPR. I mean seriously, he had an invisible car, I mean come on, that is not James Bond. So then along came director Martin Campbell and star Daniel Craig with Casino Royale, the perfect reboot slash reinvention of the James Bond series. First off, Daniel Craig is incredible in this film. This is by far the strongest debut of a James Bond actor of the entire series. He is smooth, he's sarcastic, he's a badass. The film does a good job of exploring James Bond's ego and how that can actually compromise a lot of missions. A lot of people tell him your ego's all getting in the way of the mission, and it's a really good kind of study at James Bond. It was a really great reinvention of the character. Up until Casino Royale, James Bond, the character, had become a joke. I mean, just cracking out all the one-liners and doing all this cheesy action and relying on the gadgets all the time. But Daniel Craig and Martin Campbell took the James Bond character back for us, the fans, and gave us the best James Bond possible. Eva Green plays Vesper Lynn. She did a really good job as well, and Eva Green and Daniel Craig, in my opinion, are by far the best Bond girl relationship in the entire series. They have great chemistry, great banter back and forth, and you actually believe their romance, which makes the ending of the film all the more tragic. Then we get on to Mads Mikkelsen as the villain Le Chiffre, and I think Mads Mikkelsen is a really good villain, one of the best villains of the whole series. The reason why I think Mads Mikkelsen is a great villain is because you actually understand why he's doing what he's doing. His life and his wife are being threatened, and he has to do whatever it takes to get the money that he lost, and Mads Mikkelsen was great in the role. One of the reasons I love Casino Royale is because it puts the focus on story over action. The story is really intriguing, therefore it isn't boring when there's not an action scene going down. Besides from the action sequences, there are some really intense scenes in this film, like the Casino Royale poker game. Man, I was watching it again today and I was on the edge of my seat. I mean, I know what was going to happen because I've seen the film before, but just the tension that was building up in that poker game was really good. You are rooting for James Bond throughout that entire scene, and you really get that feeling that you do not want Le Chiffre to win. Le Chiffre cannot win this poker game, so it was a really well done intensity. And even though there's more focus on the story over the action sequences are still awesome. They're really well filmed, they're really exciting, especially that construction site chase scene at the start of the film. That has got to be one of the very best chase sequences I've ever seen in a film, period. It's just some really awesome, badass, exciting stuff. I mean, when you're watching it, there's just like so many of those oh my god, that just happened moments. It's some really great stuff. In fact, looking back, I think that should have been the pre-credit sequence. Do you know how there's always like a sequence before the opening credits in the theme song? That should have been it for Casino Royale, instead of just James Bond shooting the one guy in the head and killing the guy in the bathroom. But that's just me, I guess, but I still think it's a really awesome scene. So overall, Casino Royale has some great performances, some solid action sequences, some great dialogue, some great direction, and it has an interesting premise that places story over action, but without being boring and compromising the film's badassery. It really was the perfect reboot slash reinvention that the franchise needed. So to give the film its rating, I'm going to give Casino Royale full marks, 5 out of 5. Tell me in the comments what you thought of Casino Royale, and if you like this stuff and you want to see more of my stuff, then subscribe to my channel because I got stuff coming to you guys all the time.